Okay, so today I want to go over what signs and signals you should be looking for to know if you actually had a good workout. Okay, so first I want to start with the things that you should not be using as indicators, or shouldn't solely be using as indicators to know if you had a good workout. So the first one, and I feel like this is probably the most common one, is soreness. So I feel like most people, if you ask them, probably think, oh, if you're sore after a workout, you had a good workout. You clearly did a lot of work and had a really good workout. Now, yes, in a sense, like yes, soreness will be somewhat an indicator if you had a good workout. But the reason you can't solely use soreness is because if you stretch your muscles and contract them and just move them in ways that you don't frequently move them in, you're likely just gonna be sore after that. So just to kind of explain what I mean by that. So when I started lifting, for chest, we'll start with that, right? I only did a flat dumbbell bench press as like my flat movement, right? For my flat pressing movement. So that was probably for the first like year. I only did a flat dumbbell press for like my lying down pressing movement. Then, partially because there was only one barbell at the gym I was going to at the time, which is why I don't go there anymore. But then I switched to a different gym and actually had access to a barbell. So I started the first day, went in, was like, oh, let me bench today. Immediately that next day, my chest was so incredibly sore. And at the time, because I didn't really know that much, I was kind of almost like confused in a sense, but also I knew that I'd done some work, so I was kind of happy. But I was like, I lift and hit chest like twice a week by doing a flat dumbbell bench press. And the motion itself isn't that different than doing like a flat barbell bench press. So I was kind of confused. I was like, why was I so sore? Now I know that's because it is slightly different and you're changing the way you're loading the weight on, you're just going to inherently feel sore because that's a motion and a movement that you don't frequently do. And that goes for like any exercise. And another example of this would be like when I'm hitting biceps, you're just doing a bunch of curls, basically a bunch of different curl variations. Like I think it was probably like 3-4 weeks ago, I started doing cable curls where like you stand out from it and then you let your arm kind of get pulled back to like being straight and then curl from there. And genuinely, I was sore for like 2-3 days, and my biceps don't typically get that sore. So for me, being sore for 2 days on my biceps, it was crazy. And once again, it was just because I didn't exercise that I don't typically do. You're just training the muscle in a way that's not typical for your body, so you get extremely sore. Okay, and the next thing I want to go over, that is another really common way that people use to gauge their workouts, but probably isn't the best way to do it, is sweating. Now, I feel like a lot of people just think of sweating as like, oh, you're doing something athletic or it's really hot out, which that is true. But I feel like understanding why we sweat is also very important. So sweating is actually just your body trying to cool down. It is one of the ways your body uses to just cool itself, right? So yes, that means if you're in the gym sweating a bunch, that you're probably working hard because your body's overheating and you're sweating. But that doesn't inherently mean you're working that hard. Because like a great example of this is like when you're doing cardio, you sweat a bunch. But for me personally, when I'm doing weightlifting, outside of hitting legs, like when I'm hitting upper body, anything from upper body, I don't typically sweat that much. But that doesn't mean I'm not working. Like if you watch me lift, I am pushing myself. I'm really working hard. But I don't sweat a lot. Now there's other people that just happen to sweat a lot. So that's why sweating can be very kind of like difficult to use as a gauge, and you really shouldn't use it as a gauge for how well your workout went, because a lot of times like sweating is dependent on the person. Like there's some people that just don't sweat a lot. Now me on the other hand, I typically do sweat a lot, but I still don't even sweat that much when I'm weightlifting. Part of that also has to do with how adapted your body is to training. A lot of times when people start training, they sweat a bunch. But then after like a year or two, when their body's a lot more adapted to it, you're definitely still going to sweat. It's not like you're going to go from sweating a bunch to nothing, but you're just not going to be sweating as much. Okay, now that I went over the two most common ways that you shouldn't be using to gauge your workout, but a lot of people do use them to gauge their workout, I'm going to go over 2 ways you should be using to gauge your workout. So the first one is strength increases. Now, a lot of people track their workouts, and I used to track my workouts, but at this point I kind of just haven't memorized because it's just for me. So I kind of know what I did last time. But especially if you're new, you probably should track your workouts in a sense. And let's say we're doing like a lat pull down, and you know last time you did 3 sets of 8 reps at like 100 pounds, right? Now let's say you go in the next time and you can do 3 sets of 9 reps at 100 pounds. Now you have like objective data now that you got stronger. Therefore, that means your last workout, your past couple of workouts have been effective. And this one's going to be effective because you did more than you did last time. That's one of like the big things in the gym, is just do a little, just a tiny bit better, 1% better than you did last time. Now, the example there, I did a rep increase. That doesn't always mean that. You can also do a weight increase. So let's say we'll go back to the lat pull down example. Let's say you did 3 sets of 10 reps at 100 pounds, right? If the next time you go in and you do 3 sets of 8 reps, but at 115 pounds, that is also you now progressing. Because as we all know in the gym, you're increasing not only your weight, but your reps. And obviously we're keeping good form. But just using those 2 indicators to gauge how much stronger you're getting are great ways to know if you're actually training hard in the gym. If you're training and like, especially if you're in a cut, it might be a little different, but if you're bulking or maintaining or whatever, right? And you go in and you're at the exact same sets, reps, weight for like a month or 2, you are gonna need to switch something up. Now, if you're cutting, it's gonna be a little different because you're not supposed to be as strong while you're cutting. You're depleting your body of some of the nutrients it needs, so that's a little different. But if you're maintaining or bulking and your weight is not increasing, you're gonna need to switch something up because something isn't right. Now, that's where you'd have to go into like analysis of what you're doing, and that's a whole different thing. But let's get into the second thing that you can use to figure out if you're having a good workout. So that's gonna be RPE. Now, RPE stands for rate of perceived exertion. So just to simplify that, if you don't fully know what that means, you're basically just saying how hard you think the set or exercise you did was. So this is typically on a 1 to 10 scale. So 1 would be, it was easy. It'd be like if I picked up like a 5-pound weight and started curling it, like it wouldn't feel like anything. But then like a 10 would be, I don't really know what my max curl is, but if I picked up like a 50-pound dumbbell or maybe even heavier, like a 60 or 70, and I was only getting like 1 rep or a couple reps, like that would be like a 10. So, but that also, just to go back to that, sorry for a second, a 10 can also just be a set that you're really pushing yourself. Like if you do a drop set where you did like 8 reps of one weight, drop it down a little bit, and then like 4 more reps, and you were like really pushing yourself, that's also a 10 if you're really pushing yourself. So it is very subjective, and you have to be able to push yourself, because if you're not willing to push yourself, then the RPE is always going to be low because you have to push yourself to get to a 10, like, or even a high number, right? So this one, you have to be honest with yourself, because you could just lie to yourself and say it was a 10. That's why I kind of put this one second, because I definitely would say strength increases with weight or reps is more important. But with RPE, if you're actually saying that it is tough, that is a great way to indicate how hard you're working out and if your workouts are going to be productive, because you need to be training hard. So if you truly could look yourself in the mirror and say like, yeah, that was truly like a 8, 9, or 10 or a 7 or whatever it was, then you can definitely use that as a measure of how impactful your workouts are going to be. But if you're not someone who really pushes yourself, using RPE probably isn't as good, because you're just going to kind of almost like lie to yourself in a sense and sell yourself short. Also, just thought about this one random thing. If you see this like red thing on my arm, I just had blood work today. I'm fine. I don't think I'm dying. I hope not. I don't know. So I think I'm good. All right, let's get back to it now. Sorry. So yeah, the 2 things that a lot of people commonly use as indicators of how impactful their workout were that you probably shouldn't use would be sweating and soreness. As I went over, like those are definitely things that to a degree, they definitely do indicate if you had a good workout or not. Like if you're never sweating and you're never sore, you're definitely doing something wrong. But just because you're sweating or sore, that doesn't mean you had a good workout. So I definitely would recommend using strength increases with either weight, reps, or you should be using both, and just tracking your workouts in a sense. And then RPE, if you're actually going to be honest with yourself, is another great indicator. But I hope you either switch your indicators or are validated knowing that you're using the right things to figure out how well your workouts are going. I hope you enjoyed. Send this to someone who you think can help out and help them train a little harder and better. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch y'all next Sunday at 5 p.m. Catch you there.